Hi everyone, Clusimal Designs here, and this is part 8 of the Hobby Boss 1/35th scale Canadian Leopard 2A4 tank build. Well, there it is, folks. It is done, at least as far as the tank is concerned. Now we're moving on to the diorama and the crew figures. But I think it turned out really, really nice. But since part 7, a few parts have gone on the tank that are very important, at least to make it a more accurate Canadian 2A4 anyway. So we're going to show you those right now. Now those pieces have gone on to the rear of the tank. I'm going to do my best to show you. It's kind of hard to get the angle here. But right there. Now I didn't notice it at the beginning because we weren't really putting too many parts on the rear as much anyway. But the piece there with the cross, the white cross, that is a PE part. Actually there's two PE parts on there, but now the instructions tell you to put it dead center, right? Now that is true if you're building anything but a Canadian 2A4. So when I went to go put it dead center, I looked at my reference material and then it doesn't go dead center. So I thought, okay, well, what's wrong here? So after consulting my pictures for a while, I come to the realization that this is like a toolkit of some kind. I'm going to call it a toolkit. And I thought, okay, so I looked at my boxes of my 2A4M, and then the 2A4M Canadian has that piece dead center. So I thought, okay, well, that part doesn't exist in the box. And so I looked at my 2A4 kit, and then that piece obviously goes dead center. So that wasn't, that wasn't going to be anywhere. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to scratch build that. So I did, out of these little resin parts right here. Just needed one. Had to do some sanding, right? Because there's obviously that little, lip piece. So I sanded it down, made it nice and smooth, like a nice rectangular piece. I'm not too sure where I got these. These are just like ammo cans of some kind. So I just needed one. So sanded it down, made a nice rectangular piece, scratch built a handle, and then threw it in there. And that's how I did that. And then of course for this piece here, because that is a PE part, it was nice and flat. If you can kind of see right there, I made just like a little strip, a plastic strip, just right there to give it an edge. That way it lays flat, straight like that, how it's supposed to. And there we go. And that's how it's supposed to be as far as Canadian 2A4 goes. Now if you look at the tail lights, it's obviously got the signal lights and whatnot there. That's this set here. I was originally going to put like LED lights in my tank, but I noticed with the way this is designed, I couldn't really do it. Otherwise it would wreck some of the parts and the lights would look really, really funny. So if you're interested in this set right here, they actually make them for all the tanks. So the 2A4M and whatnot, you can easily get these sets. They're actually pretty cheap. And they just glue on. And there's I'll show you the headlights. You just a little bit of super glue on the back and stick them on. And they work fairly well. And then of course the tow cable I put on. You don't have to. Sometimes tanks have them on, sometimes they don't. But I like to have it on just because it shows more detail. Otherwise the tank just gets too green. You want to start breaking up the colors, right? And then the other parts we put on there is the PE part there for the grill. I really like that. Sometimes I can get hard to paint and detail, right? Because it's a PE part that's so flimsy. But if you do bend it or wreck it, it's not a big deal because in real life that does get bent and knocked around quite a bit, right? So that's not too big of a deal. And then of course, if you go back to part 6, in part 6 I showed you already how we cut the grass to accommodate for the tracks, right? So since part 6, in between that part and then this part here, obviously we took my Elmer spray glue, sprayed the underside of this grass mat. This grass mat is from Model Scene. This one is Low Brush Autumn. And sprayed the bottom of it and placed it down. And obviously this is just MDF board, spray painted black, and then just worked it around the tracks. And that's all you have to do for that. Now this one here, like I found that there was a little too much fall, like leaves on it. I actually kind of scraped a lot of the leaves off because it was a little too leaf heavy. And then if you look a little closely here, I actually kind of shoved some branches in the tank a bit and dropped some here, and then shoved some in there, just to give it a more of a, looks like it's been trawling through. But just prior to me putting the tank in this display base, I actually played with this in the dirt. I actually took this outside. If you look at the weathering on it, I can try and get close. That's actually real weathering. I actually did take this outside, plopped it in the dirt and kicked dirt at it, you know, lightly, that real light dust dirt. I actually took this outside and literally kicked dirt at it. So the dirt you see in the grooves there, that's actual real dirt. I find it gives a more of a realistic look to the tank, because the dirt will actually go into the grooves where it's actually supposed to go in the grooves in real life. And then I just left it there. It seems to stick in there really nice. And then I went with my my sets, my other weathering sets, and kind of got into the grooves a little bit more afterwards. And that's it. That's it for the weathering. You know, because it is just going through a nice dry field. So moving on to the figures. The figure sets that I have, at least the ones I'm going to be using for this one here, is from Valkyrie. I've never used these ones before. They seem fairly decent. I did prime them in white, that's where I'm going to leave them, and then I'm going to be using the decal sets right there. I've used these ones before. These ones really work out well. I'm happy with them. These ones are from FFSMC. You have to use antifreeze on them instead of water, but you know, they work out really well. You've seen them in my Leopard C2 build. If you haven't seen how I've used those ones, you can go back, but I'll be obviously using them in this build. And then of course they have the desert there. I'm not going to be using desert on this one. I'm just going to be using the green cat pad on this. But he makes them for all sorts of armies. So go check him out. I'll just focus in on there. I'll leave a link in the description to his site. But I'm going to be using the Valkyrie ones on this. I'm going to change heads. You know, obviously, you know me, I like to change things up. So I'm going to change the heads on them just to make it different. I know, obviously, I'm going to be using the green CAD pad, change things up too. Because I don't think these tanks were ever deployed in Afghanistan in this configuration. I think they were all changed to the 2A4Ms before they left. Don't quote me on that, though. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave part 8. The most important thing to talk about was more so the rear of the tank, just to show you, you know, the more accurate version, I guess you can say. So there we go. There was part 8. So please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you guys later on part 9. So thanks so much for watching. Bye.